the first step as we're coming out of the blocks, as we're coming out of a 3-point stance, running the 40-yard dash. It can really apply to both. And what's important here is how we're striking the ground. So the first thing we want to be aware of is the back foot. So for me, it's going to be my right leg. The back foot really wants to be coming straight forward and through. So I don't want to end up going wide here. I'll see people that will have the first action where the foot's going more here as opposed to here. And then as this is happening, we also want to make sure that that toe is coming straight up. And the concept's going to be for the foot to be as flat as possible. So if you could think about your foot like this, would be more of what's considered like a supinated position, where the pronated position would be more like this. So my big toe is almost down and my pinky toe is up. So I want to be able to get to that position as I'm striking the ground. So then when I hit, I'm going into more of a supinated position, or I'm absorbing more here. So if I go around too much, if my first action is more here with my knee and with my foot, then when I come through and I strike the ground, I'm going to be having to go more like this. And this is where people end up crossing over when they're running, is they're going, and as the foot's coming off the ground, the knee's going out to the side in comparison to coming straight through. And what I've found is that this is a combination of really hip flexion as well as hip internal rotation. So my knee is actively trying to go inside of my big toe, which would be internal rotation, where if my knee is going outside of my big toe, that would be considered like external rotation of my hip. So I'm actively trying to internally rotate my hip as I'm coming forward and through, which is making it so then as I strike the ground, I could pull more straight back or even slightly out to the side as that foot's hitting the ground. So when I go from external rotation to what would be considered adduction, which means my foot's coming inward, that is going to make it so I'm crossing over with my foot, as opposed to where your strength's going to come from is going from hip flexion, internal rotation of the hip, to then abduction and extension is really where you're going to get the most amount of force from. So we want to be able to be aware of what we're doing as we're getting out with that first step, to make it so we can have as much force as we can, to make it so then we can be as quick as we can coming out of off the ground, and also setting ourselves up to be able to build speed the best that we can. So once we go, and if the first step's off, then the whole sprint's going to be off. So you got to be great with that first step, with those first 3 steps, and making sure you're landing in the precise position to make it so you're going to set yourself up to run a great race, or to be able to run fast. If you miss the first step, you're not going to be able to make up for it.